It's your boy Mighty Joe. Welcome to another episode of the Patchbay. Joining me today is a 6-time Emmy Award winner. He's a composer, sound designer, audio engineer, and owner of 132 Studios in Oakland, California. I want to welcome to the show, BZ Lewis.
Hey.
How you doing today, BZ?
I'm great, man. It's good to be here. It's so cool.
Right on, man. It is so cool to have you. I really appreciate you taking the time out. And, I know everything is hectic just in general, so thanks so much for taking the time to join me in a great conversation.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Oh, man. So,
yeah, very cool.
Did going to school prepare you for all you were about to face, or was experience the real teacher for you?
Oh, definitely experience as a real teacher. Man, that's a good question because, right after high school, I went to this audio engineering school. It was like the only one in Texas, where I grew up in Texas. And
West Texas, right? In Big Spring?
Yeah, I grew up in a little town called Big Spring.
Right on.
And it was a commercial music program, which was awesome. But, 2 years into the program, I'm kind of done with it. And I'm like, there's no way to make a living in music. Are you kidding me? This is going to be impossible.
Right.
We'd show up to gigs with, a couple of cars and, a van full of gear. And, we'd make about $100 a night, and we'd probably have to split that.
Oh, my gosh. Out of how many people?
There were 5 of us.
Ooh.
But, yeah, baby. So I just kind of like, this isn't going to happen. So I applied for the University of Texas at Austin to become a mechanical engineer, and that's how I got to Austin.
In 93, that was when you moved over to California. And I know that I read you said there was a film that you worked on. So what was that film that prompted you to move to California?
So funny, man, because every time I say I worked on a film, everyone just always says, "Oh, what porn was it?" But
no, seriously, which one was it?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, right. No, it wasn't a porn. It was like I don't want to say legit film, but it was pretty legit. It was actually my friends from high school. Mm-hmm. We were all pretty tight. We played D&D in high school, stuff like that, and we were all, okay, what can we do to keep our friendship going after we all graduate from college? And we came up with making a film. We'll just make a film. And so that's what we decided to do. One of my friends, Charlie, had a job as a nuclear engineer at GE in San Jose. So he was the only guy who had a legit job and that he couldn't leave. Everyone else, we were all just working somewhere. It didn't really matter. So we just packed up and left and moved into this guy's 1-bedroom flat in San Jose and set up our shop there. And but we shot this film, back home in Texas, and then moved out to San Jose to finish editing it and stuff like that. We had just like a couple of pieces of gear, and we got this little computer card that would record 2 tracks of audio and a bunch of MIDI stuff. And we got to work and we made it happen.
Wow.
And it was an all digital audio thing back in 93, which was just completely unheard of.
I was watching a show about the behind the scenes of the Backstreet Boys, the Beastie Boys. And I think these guys' names were the Dust Brothers. And they were they were the first people to ever, incorporate using a computer, and the first time they ever saw a computer in the studio. So did you put the film out?
Yeah, I did. We finally got it sold. It was a film called Hell is Texas.
Hell is Texas?
Yeah.
What was that about?
It's a story about friendship and the afterlife, and it takes place with this guy who doesn't know he's dead, and all the merry mix-ups that ensue, and yeah.
So who wrote it? Was it all you guys that wrote it, or did you just handle the music side of things? What was your role there?
Music and anything sound.
Right.
Anything sound. I had another friend of mine who had a computer. I mean, at that point, I was not into computers at all whatsoever, but my friend was, and my friend Jance was.
Right.
And so we were working out of this program called Studio Vision.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you remember that from back in the day.
No, I never heard of that program.
Okay. But no, the guy who wrote it was my friend Zane, and Zane had a job as an animator in a couple of places in LA that he was already working out of. So
nice.
So he's kind of a director, and he eventually moved back to Austin.
Gotcha.
And he's doing that kind of thing now, which is still today, which is cool.
And then you pretty much continued on from there. So Studio 132 was tuned by Bob Hodis, who has a ridiculous resume. How do you think it is how important do you think it is to have your studio tuned or treated in some fashion?
Well, it's make or break, right? I mean, well, I mean, it kind of depends on what you're doing, but you have to be able to hear in something that's going to translate, to the outside world. Sure. So if you're in a square room that's got a gazillion reflections, man, you're going to be screwed. Yeah. You're going to be spending a lot of time going back and forth. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, right. I mean, I built my studio with, all the walls are splayed, so they're all at an angle, a slight angle. I think you have to have 10 degrees of splay. I've got 12, I guess, or something. But that really helps. I mean, I could almost get away without having any additional EQ in the room. But, I don't even have a whole lot of bass traps, and I have some bass traps, but the walls aren't covered and stuff, because Bob was like, no, just put this where your speakers hit, and put this here, put that here, and you're golden. So you work with so many different genres of music as an engineer. How do you prepare yourself for a specific style of music? God, it's so funny because I work with so many different kinds of music. Yeah. I work with children music too, right? Yeah, that's a biggie. I always feel like I'm sort of a jack of all trades. It's really bizarre, and I'm like, when I grow up, I know I'm going to specialize in something, but I haven't gotten there yet. Gotcha. Yeah, but how do I just sort of had this overriding principle about how I'm going to mix, and it's just make it sound awesome, make it feel good from one section to another, make it flow, and do a lot of listening while I'm mixing. Right. A lot of listening to other people's songs. Gotcha. No, definitely. Other things in the same. Yeah. So, but you're just well versed, just in general in music. So you're ready for anything at the end of the day. Yeah, man, I've been doing this forever. Been 23 years or something. That I've had the studio, and then I was doing stuff before that. So you are definitely one of the gurus. There's no doubt about that. How do you connect with the artist in order to bring the best out of them? I just have this funny sense of humor, and half the time I'm giving them a hard time. It's so funny. I guess I just make people feel comfortable ultimately, but because it's such a dare I say an intimate experience recording somebody, because you're really, as an artist, you're really bearing your soul, especially when you're singing, and it's really, that can get really touchy. Yeah. So I really just try to dispel the tension in the room. Yeah. You wrote a book called How to Survive Owning a Recording Studio, right? Right. Yes. So how do you think this book will or I know it was, you did it years ago, but even people that might want to pick it up today or that have picked it up, but how do you think the book enlightens others that are either running a studio or considering opening their own studio? Well, I think the thing about that book is just watching somebody's career path as it goes along, and what were the steps they took. Did they make a big investment at the beginning, or did they start small and slowly grow, which was my course? But how did they do it? How did they stay in business, and how did they make enough to raise a family? And there's a lot of things I would do different if I were writing that book now, as opposed to 6 or 7 years ago. But gotcha. Yeah. So, but it was also all about the kind of gigs I do, and how they break down, and what you can charge for, and what you can't, that are still relevant today. Right. Awesome. So, a lot of it's pretty darn relevant.
you actually just mentioned something that I wanted to ask you is, how do you stay in a creative mode when money and expectations are involved? And do those elements ever jade the project for you?
I guess they jade it I think if I'm working on something and I'm feeling like it's just not enough money, if it's something I'm not really into, or if I feel like I'm being taken advantage of,
gotcha,
then that gets jading mighty fast.
Understood.
That being said, though, there's a lot of things I do where I don't charge money at all, and I just like take back end stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's been really successful, but it is hard. It's really hard to do that because, 99.9% of the things you do that way will never make a penny. And so it's really hard to know when to do that and when not to.
Sure.
I mean, basically, you can play it safe and just never do that.
Right. And
you would be fine.
So what are some pet peeves of yours as a studio owner and as an engineer, which I think you kind of just said it, which, like you said, if you felt like you were taken advantage of. But is there anything else just as far as what an artist might do in the booth, like if they show up late or whatever the case is, or don't show up at all?
Yeah, people blowing me off. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Although I am so lucky that I've got this composing side of my career that if they're not there, cool, chances are there's something I need to be writing. So a lot of times when someone doesn't show up, it's like, thank goodness I have the time.
True. Gotcha.
But my biggest pet peeve, I would say I don't like people touching my computer screen.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Just because
I don't know why.
Gotcha. That's just something you don't like. Hey, that's
I guess I don't. Yeah, right.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got their own.
I need to put little laser pointers out or something. Okay, you can point that way, but
I am coming to your studio with a laser pointer. I promise. I don't know why I would touch the screen anyway, though. I would just point like right there.
Yeah, well, it's so funny. Like I was saying, it's it's a pretty intimate process, and
sure.
You're working side by side with somebody, so they'll point.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes get a little too close, but like, whoa,
a little too close. Yeah, well, you touched my screen. I don't know.
Give me.
I got a little ejection seat, and I just like pull the lever, and they go flying out.
Was that part of the studio build?
Yeah. It was one of the most expensive things.
Either that, or they get dropped into the mode of crocodiles.
Yeah. And snapping turtle.
Oh, too fun. So, how has the studio world changed, though, for you over the years, and how have you evolved to keep yourself current?
Yeah. Well, the internet has come a long way, thank goodness. So I started this other thing called the Mix Pack, where people can upload their tracks, and the whole thing behind that is just to where it's an unattended mix session, basically. Like people from all over the world, can send me their tracks that they record at home,
right?
And I can sort of do it at my own leisurely pace in whatever pajamas I want to wear. So.
Right. I saw that on your website. You're like, yeah, you can still send me your stuff. I'm in my PJs, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'm sure I have. And you said it's called the Mix Pack?
Yeah, the Mix Pack.
Gotcha. And that I'm sure has been really handy, though, for a time like now.
Yeah, because since COVID happened, I have not had anyone in here. I mean, since the middle of March.
Sure.
Nobody's been in here. I've had a couple of, like Mix Pack things, like that sort of things. But, nobody.
Gotcha. You've been more really just working on your own stuff lately?
Yeah, I've been working on my own stuff. Been working on a website for the Mix Pack. That may go up either later today or tomorrow or something.
Nice. When did you place your first piece of music, and what was it? First piece of music and sound designing, I should say, and what was it for?
I think the first thing I did was, I used to work at a music store too a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
And at that time, I was somewhat writing my own stuff. And I had this other band called Sugar Dinks. And this is like 1994, 95, 96, 97, right around through there. And we would meet once a week and just come to the studio and write stuff. And I joined this thing called Taxi. I don't know if you know what Taxi is, but
I remember Taxi. Is it still exist?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. And they get your stuff in front of people who need it, who are looking for it. Mm-hmm. So, and I was early on in that too. So I think that really helped me out. But I was kind of a poster child for them because I'd gotten a lot of deals through them. I think my first thing was, in fact, it was this thing called Belly Fruit. And through that was Cheryl Churchill from Media Creature. And this is before she even started Media Creature. But I met her because she used some of my music. And that relationship went on for a long time.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, that was way early on. That was like 98.
Oh, wow. So Taxi was a big facilitator.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. I mean, a lot of my early credits, a lot of my credit reel is because of the stuff I got placed through Taxi.
You are also, though, a man that has many, many awards. Are some awards less significant to you, or do you appreciate them all the same? And what has been your favorite award that you've won to date?
It's gotta be that first Emmy. Like that first one. That's really cool.
Yeah. Because
the Independent Music Awards was really nice because like I work with my friends making music for these albums, and then we got to go to New York together to win these awards. It's really that's fantastic.
Since you bring that up, though, I just want to add on to that because I believe that you were nominated. Correct me if I'm incorrect on anything, but I believe you were nominated for 3, or you knew that you were going to win 3, so you went to go and accept 3 awards, but you wind up walking away with 5 that same night.
Yeah.
What was that like to win 5 rings in one night? I mean, shoot,
yeah,
Michael Jordan had to wait every year to win 1 ring. You went and won 5 in one night. So what was that feeling like?
Well, that was pretty amazing too.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I think the like Monica Pasquale, who I went with, and Sarah Level, who I also went with, they won everything they were nominated for. So like, but the way they do it, there's also this other thing called a Vox Pop Award.
Yeah.
It's like for the I think for the albums, you can get a like the popular vote, which just like your fans log in and vote for, and whoever wins that gets the award. Whoever gets the most votes. But then you can also win the Judges Award, and so like an album could win 2 awards. So that's sort of how that works. So like there's also like album and song or concept video. So
wow. So
yeah,
but what was like, were you blown away when you went home with 5 awards?
Yeah. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like I only have 2 of them out. Where are you going to put them all?
That's fantastic. So we've been talking about, the intimacy and everything as far as your relationship with the artist. Once you win an award with those artists, is that like a connection that you two have for the rest of your lives because of that?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have to see. Like, it's funny. You win something like that, and then the next week you have another session, and nothing really changes.
Right.
Like we had a great time, and that's fantastic. But
they had the confidence in you from day one anyway, so it's not like the confidence is going to get elevated.
Yeah, it does. It does help. I'm sure on some level it helps. But honestly, we just get going to work the next time, and we just do what we do, and we just have fun doing it. And
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah, and like you said too, it does help in a sense as well, as far as when you're working, because you're like, oh shoot, we just won all these awards. We keep it up, we'll probably be able to bring in some more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of thing if you both, like this project that you both worked on, it's not like suddenly, oh, this person I'm working with has an award and I don't. We both kind of leveled up the same.
Yeah.
So it's not like one person's got more than another or something. And so it's just, I don't know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of the shared thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it sounds like an everlasting bond. So that's pretty fantastic. With all the awards that you've won over the years, has there ever been a time that you didn't win that you felt you really should have?
Oh, there's one commercial thing I did that I was really proud of,
Yeah.
that I was hoping was going to win an Emmy.
Yeah.
But and the Independent Music Awards this last time, I was nominated for 3, like best dance album, best dance producer, and then Monica and I were nominated for best pop producer, and I didn't win any of those. So that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah. How do you power through those when you experience those not so glorious moments?
I just look at everything else I've won along the way and go like, yeah, it's not a big deal.
Right on.
Like I'm okay.
Right. It's just time to get back to work.
Yeah, it's just time to get back to work, man. Come on. I mean, it would be nice to have something like that to, post about.
Sure.
On your Instagram page and whatnot. But
Right. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to add up to much other than just some self gratification, I guess, for yourself.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I am hungry for that in a weird way. I've got enough of an ego to where, yeah, that's always cool to have.
Right on. So
I mean, if you don't have at least a little bit of an ego, you wouldn't enter in the first place. So
yeah. So I want to talk to you about Infinite Point. I believe that is the last album that you just made. It was the one that came out in like 2019.
Yeah.
So when I listen to the tracks, the records on Infinite Point, there's a lot going on. So how many tracks does a typical BZ Lewis song have?
Yeah, I am way too dense. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Really?
I've got themes going, like themes underneath themes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Like more than
it's crazy
like
amount of stuff.
60 tracks?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Right on.
Yeah, well, because you'll get like a little snippet of a sound, like for like dubstep stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like there's a lot going on in a really short amount of time. So like cool. My Pro Tools rig, I can just leave all this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I might have like 10, 12 tracks of massive, that synth massive.
Yeah,
Yeah, just sitting there, just making like one or two little sounds, and I should really, turn those into audio files, but I'm too lazy to do it. But yeah, so that takes up a bunch of tracks. That's 20 tracks because they're all stereo, and yeah, so yeah, 60 tracks, that gets eaten up pretty darn fast.
Gotcha. So how did you actually get into the dubstep side of things? How did you learn how to create, some dubstep elements?
Well, my first album is called Reserved.
Right.
And that album was like guitar riffs over like hip hop beats, basically.
Okay.
And it's also with some industrial elements too. And it's really angry and aggressive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I started writing that about the time of the Iraq War, after 9/11.
Yeah.
And I think I have a song called Shock and Awe.
Was that a way for you to kind of get your stress out in a positive way because of what was going on?
Yes, yeah, because that stuff just eats me up alive. So I just started writing sort of music that's just like angry. It's just angry, and I'm not an angry guy. I guess I am at some level, but like I wouldn't hurt a flea. But musically, I can just get in there and do this. So when you ask me like dubstep stuff, I'm actually pretty new to it. My previous album was also dubstep, but my friend Jance, who was that guy who had the computer stuff for that film, he sent me this song by this guy called Skrillex, and I'm like, it starts off, it's just sort of this reggae beat. I'm like going, oh yeah, that's cool. Some of the sounds are kind of nice. And then it just tears it up. It's just incredible.
Right on.
Like I'll never forget sitting in my studio, listening to that cranked up for the first time, and it's like, and I really want to be doing some of that.
Another thing that I loved about not even just the Infinite Point, because I listened to some other albums prior. I didn't get a chance to listen to that first album that you mentioned because I never heard any hip hop elements. It was all kind of the Infinite Point, style. But what's your process to get those big, crunchy guitars that you have on all your albums? Because your guitars are bananas.
You know, it's funny. I just plug straight into my. I've got a couple of Joe Meeks, like the VC6Q,
right.
Just like a single channel thing, and it's not even the best one really that I have, but I just plug straight into that, and then it's usually you're going to crack up, but it's just the default patch that comes up on 11, you know, the Pro Tools plugin, and that's a super heavy, you know, tread plate. It's like the best tread plate sound I've ever heard, I think.
Right on.
So I mostly use that, and then for the clean stuff, I'll use Amplitude.
So I wasn't sure if you did a lot of layering and whatnot to be able to bring those to life.
I'll double track everything. Well, you know, like the rhythm guitars, they're all double tracked. They're like hard panned left and right. So that's kind of cool. And sometimes I'll run it through what's that BX plugin alliance that. What is that BX console, that SSL 4000E or something? Yeah, I'll run it through that.
Gotcha.
You know, do some EQ tweaks and whatnot, and then...
Do you affect the left side different from the right side? To kind of create more spatial?
No, almost never. I mean, sometimes I'll do a third pass where I'm just like straight up the middle. But like, yeah, I hardly ever do anything like that, which is really funny. You'd think I would, but...
Really impressed by all that guitar work there. But
cool, thanks.
Yeah, man. So all of your albums, from what I've heard, like I said, I haven't heard all of them, but from what I have heard, they're instrumentals. What is it about instrumentals that really excites you?
Yeah, I don't sing. I'm really not a good singer, and I just leave that up to the people who can really do it. Because I'm not going to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was wondering why you didn't also maybe collaborate with other artists to be on your price. So I thought maybe it was just the instrumental, you know, energy that you loved, and that's why you never even tried to get.
It is. It's also sort of a reaction to working with so many singer-songwriters that I work with here in the studio. That I just kind of like, I just want to do this on my own. And I want it to be all instrumental.
Right.
You know, I don't want to have to, like, you know, make way for the vocal. Because, like, you know, vocals, if you have a vocal in a song, suddenly there's nothing but the vocal. I mean, everything else doesn't matter.
Right.
You know? Yes. So it's all about the vocal, pretty much.
Yeah.
But with an instrumental track, it's just literally music for music's sake.
Yeah.
And I love that, you know, like just like the classical compositions and stuff like that, you know, they were kind of music for music's sake and not necessarily, you know, dictated by a personality.
Gotcha. So creating music that outlasts self is important to you. What are the elements included in something that you would consider a song to be timeless?
Oh, I love that question. You know, it's funny with this dubstep stuff, I kind of know that's not going to be around forever. You know, like, that's going to sound dated at some point. And it's kind of for now.
Right.
Yeah, timeless, man. That's a really good one. If I were doing like, you know, like my brother is a yoga instructor in Dallas.
Okay.
And one time he said, could you just make me some like solo guitar, you know, atmospheric stuff, and, you know, like just for background music. So I, you know, just sort of sat down and I recorded a thing, like a total stream of consciousness for like an hour. Mm-hmm. And it was over and done with, like you know, the whole thing took an hour and a half.
Wow.
And so this concept of timelessness, yeah, it's just really simple stuff, a lot of reverb. That will always sound cool. I'll say this too, like I mixed this person named Chelsea Sophia out in Nashville just last week, and she just sits down and plays acoustic guitar and sings.
Yeah.
And that is just a nice, simple recipe. And her voice, her guitar playing, yeah, it's just timeless.
Right on. So over the years, the role that you've played has been behind the scenes. But at one point in your life, did you ever want to be that big famous musician that played in front of a crowd of 50,000 and had videos airing on MTV worldwide?
Oh yeah, absolutely. When I was in college, I had this band called Culture Shock out of Austin.
Right.
And I did that while I was getting my guitar degree.
Yeah.
And, we were kind of big fish in a small pond. I mean, we were, headlining shows on Saturday nights, and we were being looked at by Warner at one point. And, I thought I was trying so hard not to have to graduate college. But, it just never really came to pass. But we were, playing in front of hundreds of screaming fans, and they were all singing along to our songs, and that was nice. Really cool.
Yeah, it still worked out for you in a massive way, which is cool. You got to 23 years and counting, and you're still picking up that guitar and killing it. So that's pretty awesome.
I'll tell you a funny story too. Is in high school with MTV and stuff like that, all I wanted to be was on MTV, and through that taxi service, my music was on rotation a whole bunch because when MTV kind of stopped playing videos and they were just doing shows.
Yeah.
My music was on those shows, so in that way, I kind of realized that dream. It just didn't look anything like I thought it was going to look like.
Yeah. Well, you still made it to the pros. You just made it in a different fashion.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I totally get that. That's cool. But you've accomplished so much. Is there anything that, I know you mentioned it a little bit before, but is there anything still that you got your sights on that you still want to achieve?
Yeah, well, it's I've got this friend, Sarah Lovell, and she just released her album, and that's going to be, we're going to enter it for the Grammys, so that would be cool. I really don't want to change a whole lot about what I'm doing. I just want to maybe work on slightly bigger projects.
Right.
But that's really about it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I've actually thought about that pretty hard. What would I change? What do I want to do different?
Yeah.
And there's not a lot I want to be doing different.
So what do you do for fun in your downtime?
I ride my mountain bike. I'm a mountain biker.
Oh, yeah?
And I live out here in the Oakland Hills, and there's some of the best mountain biking trails, within 3/4 of a mile from here.
Nice.
It's amazing.
Yeah. What kind of bike do you have?
I have it's like a full suspension mountain bike, and it's a Cannondale Jekyll 2.
Gotcha. Sounds impressive.
It's just awesome. I mean, it's just, I had this the first production mountain full suspension bike. I think it was called a ProFlex.
Yeah.
And that served me well for a long time. But last September, I finally got a new bike, and oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
What's the longest trek you've ever gone on?
It's not really about that. Mountain bike trails are like dog years. One mountain bike trail is the equivalent of 10 road. Yeah, right. 7. So it's just I go tear it up in the hills and then come back home. So I don't even really go that far. It's probably maybe 10 miles altogether. But
that's pretty good though.
Yeah. I would love to do a century on a road bike at some point.
What's that? What do you mean by that?
That's riding 100 miles.
Oh, actually riding 100 miles. Holy cow. So but I mean, what kind of bike would be a different kind of bike?
Yeah. Because my mountain bike's for the technology that it's in, it's pretty light, but it's still 30. Yeah, it's still 30-something pounds, but a really nice light mountain road bike.
Nice.
Would be good for a long distance.
Gotcha. Yeah, I grew up a big BMX cat. I had a Mongoose GT, and they make the bigger frames for adults. So that is my goal, is eventually to get some kind of Mongoose GT or something like that. So BZ, I just want to make sure I give you some time to tell anybody about your Instagrams, your websites, how to find you, where the studio is, all that good stuff. The mic is yours, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Well, the studio is here in Oakland, just studio132.com. You can find me there. Let's see. I'm on Instagram at BZ Lewis. Instagram.com to BZ Lewis. It's always a good one.
And if anybody wants to listen to Infinite Point or any of your other albums, how would they go about finding those records?
Oh, probably Bandcamp is a great way to go for that.
Okay. On YouTube as well?
Yeah,
okay.
On YouTube as well.
So is there a specific Bandcamp?
Yeah, it's bz-music.bandcamp.com.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
I really appreciate everything that you do and everything that you're going to continue to do. And if you need me for anything, my friend, I am always right here for you.
Yeah, well, likewise.
Right on, man. Right on.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing what you're doing.
It's truly my pleasure, man. I want to thank my guest, BZ Lewis, for joining me in a great conversation. And I also want to thank everybody that listened to this episode. I really appreciate you tuning in. I look forward to bringing more real soon. Until then, please stay safe and stay strong. It's the Patchbay.